Welcome to the Director's Corner podcast, the definitive resource for forward-thinking professionals in end-of-life care industries. If you're looking to really shake up your digital marketing and connect with families in a way that really matters, well, you're in the right place. We're not just talking about the same old strategies. We're diving deep into creating authoritative content that builds genuine engagement and trust, which is what sets you apart in today's digital landscape.
That's so true.
And for you, our listener, we're focusing on a really crucial part of this work today. How do we actually expand access to hospice care by creating informed communities? And we're really going to zero in on how using digital strategies in a smart way can seriously amplify these community building efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission in this deep dive is to really dig into how proactively educating our communities, especially when we're using the power of well-planned digital marketing, how that can help hospice providers connect with more of the individuals and families who could really benefit from the compassionate support that hospice offers. And it's important to remember this isn't just about, boosting admission numbers. It's really fundamentally about making sure more people have that opportunity to receive the high-quality end-of-life care they deserve.
Right. It's about reaching those people who could benefit but don't know about it.
Exactly.
And so to kind of get our arms around this, we've gone through some really insightful material outlining different ways that hospice providers can increase both awareness and access to their services.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about doing that through direct engagement with the community and then crucially by using effective digital outreach.
Right.
So let's dive into it. What's the main challenge we're trying to overcome here?
Well, as the material we've looked at makes clear, despite the very real need for hospice services, there are a lot of individuals and families who just aren't fully aware of what hospice really provides, or they've got these really ingrained misunderstandings.
Yeah, like that whole idea that hospice is about giving up or that it somehow speeds up the end. It's a huge roadblock, isn't it, to people getting the care that they really need?
It really is. And, that's where the opportunity is. A proactive approach to community education isn't just a good idea. It's an ethical and powerful way to address this knowledge gap and ultimately to increase access and referrals. It's about being proactive in shaping how people understand what hospice is all about.
So it's much more involved than just putting up a few ads or something.
Definitely. Education here is so much more than just straight marketing. It's about actively working to dismantle those misconceptions and really cultivating a true understanding of the comprehensive support that hospice offers. We have to shift that perception from giving up hope to seeing the reality that hospice is truly dedicated to enhancing quality of life, to providing comfort and offering essential support to both the patient and their loved ones during a really tough time.
Okay. So if education is such a key part of this, how about some of the strategies that hospice providers can really put into practice? And, where do we see digital tools having the biggest impact in boosting these efforts?
The material we've looked at highlights a few core educational strategies, and it's really fascinating to see how digital marketing can just multiply the effects of each one. So let's start by talking about targeted outreach to healthcare professionals.
Makes sense. Doctors, nurses, social workers, they're often the first people families talk to, and they're a major source of referrals.
Absolutely. Developing educational sessions that are specifically geared toward these professionals can be incredibly effective, like addressing their particular concerns and being really clear about who's eligible for hospice care. Those are vital steps. And offering continuing education units or CEUs for going to workshops or seminars can be a great incentive to get them involved.
I like that approach. It benefits them professionally, but also ensures that they're equipped with the most current information about hospice. So how can we use digital tools to strengthen this outreach?
Okay, so beyond those in-person meetings, having resources online that are easy to find and digest is really crucial. Think concise, downloadable brochures, fact sheets that are easy to pass along, even interactive online tools that clearly explain the range of hospice services and what they cover. Those can be accessed and shared by healthcare professionals with their patients and families. And then building strong relationships with those hospital discharge planners and case managers can be supported through regular communication online, maybe a dedicated newsletter or a secure online portal with all the latest information.
Got it. So basically, we're making it super easy for healthcare professionals to access the information they need and then pass it along effectively. Okay, what's another key educational strategy we should be thinking about?
The next big piece is community-based workshops and presentations. This is all about reaching a much wider audience directly. So think senior centers, assisted living facilities, faith-based organizations. These are often natural gathering spots for people who might either benefit from hospice themselves or they have loved ones who could benefit.
And what kind of content should these presentations focus on? What are the main points to hit?
The sources point to a few really important topics. First, explaining those eligibility criteria for hospice and the whole referral process, how that works. Second, detailing the benefits of palliative care, which, just to clarify that, focuses on relieving pain and symptoms at any stage of illness, unlike hospice, which is for those nearing the end of life. And of course, we'll explain effective symptom management within hospice. Third, emphasizing that crucial emotional and spiritual support that hospice provides, not just to the patient, but to the family as well. And finally, addressing those tough but really important end-of-life decisions and the importance of advanced care planning.
That's a pretty comprehensive rundown of what people need to know. How can we use digital strategies to make these in-person efforts even stronger?
Digital content can be a fantastic resource both before and after these community events. Think about it. You could create these short, engaging videos that introduce those key topics ahead of a workshop. You could even record the presentations themselves and make them available online for the people who couldn't make it in person. And sharing highlights and takeaways on social media can help you reach a wider audience. And don't underestimate the power of sharing real-life stories and testimonials, of course, always getting the proper consent and making sure we respect privacy. But those can be so powerful both in person and online.
I agree that human connection is so powerful when people can see and hear how hospice has made a real difference for others.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about strategic online resources and digital content. This is an area where being focused can really pay off in terms of reaching and informing people.
I'd love to hear more about that. What are the essentials for hospice providers online?
A website that's easy to use and packed with information is the absolute foundation. It's the central hub for everything, with easy-to-find details about your services, clear explanations of eligibility, and a good FAQ section. But it needs to go beyond just static information.
Yeah.
The sources we've looked at, they really highlight the value of creating ongoing, helpful content.
Like what specifically?
So think about writing informative blog posts that tackle those common questions and concerns families might have at different points in their journey. For example, something like, what happens in the first few days of hospice care? Or how can I talk to my kids about a loved one's prognosis? Writing content that directly answers those real-life questions with empathy and authority can be so valuable. Then you've got engaging videos that can break down complex parts of end-of-life care in a way that anyone can understand. You can even do informative podcasts that go deeper into specific issues. And then something like offering free guides on things like pain management techniques or caregiver support can really position the hospice as a true resource.
So we're talking about establishing yourselves as that trusted go-to source of information online for anything related to end-of-life care.
That's it. And social media is so important in spreading this educational content and engaging with the community in a more personal way, sharing useful snippets, answering those frequent questions, and just creating a sense of connection builds trust and awareness. Even offering virtual tours of your facilities or making intro videos featuring your hospice team can really help demystify the experience and build that trust. The goal is to become the recognized authority for end-of-life care knowledge and support online in your community. And to do that, understanding some basic SEO principles can be helpful, making sure the great content you're making is actually found by those families searching for answers.
That's smart. So what other community-focused strategies can we use to broaden access to hospice?
Forming solid partnerships with other organizations in the community is essential. Working with local libraries, community centers, support groups to offer joint educational programs and share resources can really widen your reach. Being present at local health fairs and community events gives you those valuable face-to-face opportunities to raise awareness. And don't forget about partnering with local media outlets to share those compelling stories and the important information about the benefits of hospice.
So it's about being an active part of that wider support network in the community.
Exactly. And a crucial element of this community education piece is focusing on advanced care planning.
Why is that so closely tied to expanding hospice access?
Well, educating people about advanced directives, those legal documents like living wills and durable power of attorney for healthcare, that's fundamental. It gives people the power to make their wishes known about their future medical care and make sure those wishes are followed. Hospice providers can play a vital role by offering workshops and accessible resources that help get those conversations going, about end-of-life preferences. They can be difficult, but so important. By really promoting advanced care planning, you're not just informing the community, you're helping individuals make sure they get the care they want, which often aligns perfectly with the comfort-focused approach of hospice.
So all of these educational initiatives, both in person and amplified online, what are the long-term benefits that hospice providers can expect to see?
The benefits are significant and wide-ranging. First, you'll likely see an uptick in those timely referrals. When people and healthcare professionals are informed, they're much more likely to know when hospice is the right choice and refer people sooner. And of course, this directly improves access to care. By tackling those common misconceptions head on and providing clear, accurate information, you're ensuring that more people who need hospice are actually able to get it.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Beyond that core mission, focusing on education really boosts your organization's reputation in the community. You become known as that reliable, trustworthy resource, a leader in providing compassionate end-of-life care. And having a strong presence online with valuable digital content just reinforces that positive image. It also strengthens those bonds with other community organizations through collaboration and builds a better support system for patients and their families. And ultimately, when people really get what hospice is all about, you're likely to see higher satisfaction among patients and their loved ones. And of course, using digital marketing effectively dramatically extends the reach of this crucial information, so you're having a much wider positive impact.
So it all boils down to this idea that proactive community education, especially when it's powered by a smart digital strategy, isn't just a marketing tactic. It's fundamental to achieving that mission of providing compassionate end-of-life care.
That's exactly it. It's about genuinely committing to education, to offering real value and support to both the community and other healthcare professionals. It's about being a source of truth and support in an area that can be so complex and emotionally charged.
This has been so insightful. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners today?
The key takeaway here is this proactive, consistent community education when it's strategically boosted by effective digital marketing. It's not just a suggestion, it's essential for expanding access to hospice, dispelling those harmful misconceptions that keep people from getting the support they desperately need, and ultimately ensuring that more people and families dealing with end-of-life realities get the compassionate, comprehensive care they deserve. It's about empowering your community with knowledge and making sure they understand the vital role that hospice can play.
I love that. And on that note, we've explored the potential of these digital platforms today. What are some innovative ways that hospice providers can use technology to even further educate and engage their communities? Maybe even thinking beyond the things we've talked about in this deep dive. It's something to really ponder. How can you adapt these ideas and make them your own in this ever-changing digital world? Thanks for joining us for this insightful deep dive.
Subscribe and like the Director's Corner podcast on your favorite platform to stay ahead of the curve. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode packed with actionable insights and innovative strategies designed specifically for your industry. Liking and sharing helps us reach more professionals like you, fostering a community dedicated to excellence in end-of-life care marketing. Let's transform how we connect with families together.